In today's adventure, we're exploring what remains of the former site of Jacob's Church, a German Lutheran church whose members worshipped at this site for nearly 200 years before closing their doors, leaving the church building and adjacent cemetery abandoned. Given the site's extremely rural location, it should have simply been forgotten and reclaimed by nature. However, such is not the case. In addition to graffiti and other forms of common vandalism that typically befalls abandoned locations, the former church building and cemetery were also used to hold satanic rituals involving sacrificing animals, as well as cemetery desecration, including the destruction of headstones and grave digging. By 1990, the local government decided the best course of action was to raze the building and install a guardrail around the perimeter of the property in the hopes of curbing the disturbing behavior. This calmed the nefarious behavior for a few years, but with the cemetery once again overgrown and the collapsed and partially undug graves left untouched, rumors began to circulate about paranormal activity being the cause of the church razing, resulting in a new influx of paranormal hunters frequenting the site, and with it, continued disrespect for the cemetery. However, in 2002, several local descendants of Jacob's Church members took it upon themselves to take ownership of the maintenance of the site, in yet another attempt to curb the unsettling and disturbing behavior and create a more respectable atmosphere. Now, almost 20 years later, I've come back to document the current state of the site. As of a couple years ago, a group came in and cleaned this area up, and they've since put up motion sensors and cameras, and I'm not sure if these are lights or cameras. There's no signs about no trespassing, only signs about desecrating graves, which should tell you a little bit about what's gone on here in the past. So I'm going to assume we're okay, unless find out otherwise. Just looks like they're lights. For how much they've cleaned this place up, there's still headstones just laying about. Littered everywhere. So while it's exponentially cleaner, less sketchy, much nicer, much more respectable than it used to be, there's only so much that they could do. With over 200 headstones found and only 150 of them able to be identified, there still remains a large number of graves back here that have no identity. Headstones just sitting here. 10 years old, 1 month old. I don't even know who that was. Just completely wrecked. You know, it's really encouraging to see that people are still keeping up with the uptake of the cemetery and the land back here. I know as little as 15 years ago, this was almost unwalkable. I mean, the area is mowed, So it tells me that at least as of this past year, it was being taken care of. So hopefully that continues. Just sitting, leaning up against this tree. Oh, a 10-month-old. Wow. 1790 to 1847. Wow. In memory of Susan. Boy, maybe somebody else can get a better read of that than me. That's it. 1789? 1788? So here's a remnant of what I was talking about with the situation back in the day being really rough. You'd walk around and find things like this. Which is essentially what looks like a divot that was replaced, but not entirely. It would be that, but it would be, the size of a casket. There'd be collapsed graves all over the place here. I was looking at one of these headstones and stepped in that.
Thankfully, things appear to have stabilized here over the last several decades, free of any further vandalism or desecration, thanks to the continued hard work of several descendants of Jacob's Church. Out of respect for the dead buried here and the history of the location, I can only hope that trend continues.